Well, not too many storylines to talk about in this game. Hey,
Not at all. Not
nothing
at all.
nothing crazy happened. Pretty
No.
normal game for the most
Yeah,
part.
I think so. I mean,
Nothing. There was nothing like no parallels or nothing. That doesn't
yeah,
seem
no.
very flamesy to have like history with
Yeah.
another team.
Yeah, or with another player in particular.
Mm mm. That's
Yeah,
odd.
nothing
Yeah,
like.
odd. Wait. Are we missing something? Is Daryl Sutter missing something? Was he missing something? We're gonna get our licks in on
Wait,
Daryl Sutter tonight
wait.
too.
Hold on a second. Where's the game sheet here? Gotta find that.
That was
Uh,
great. Oh,
yeah. What was
was
it?
the game sheet?
Matthew Phillips. Matthew
Yeah,
Phillips.
yeah.
Is
What
that
number is he?
the guy we're thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What number is he? We actually, yeah, he switched his number. But anyways, welcome to Game Over Calgary on SDPN Sports. My name is Auddie James, joined today by a familiar face. You know him from last year, making his debut in a fill-in role as we often do. It's Nate Thomas. Nate, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. I was in a way very thankful for you to ask me to join on tonight. Just casually procrastinating schoolwork and that kind of thing. So,
Well, I'm
but
glad.
it's
I'm
all good.
glad that I could not help your education further with your multiple degrees that you already have. You should
Yeah, I
just,
got
you
I
should
got
just,
2 months.
just pack it in.
Yeah, 2 months and I'm packing it in. I've been joking. I'm like, I'm not going back for a third. Both my wallet and my brain are like, nope, you can't do
Yep,
it.
yep, that's fair. Hey, that's fair. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, chat, I see there's lots of people in here right now. Two things, two housekeeping notes. If you haven't learned yet, we're doing things a little differently here this year. We're going to do similar to what SDP does. You know, the press conference? We're going to do the press conference at the end. So save your questions for the end for the presser. We'll get to any and all questions that you might have in the chat, as Jay Money likes to call the toxic chat. I see him in there right now. Second order of housekeeping, everybody in the chat who's here right now needs to spam congrats to Nate, who got engaged in the off season. So spam congrats to to almost called you Gate to Nate, who's now engaged. Welcome to, well, I can't say engaged anymore, but
I
welcome
was
to
gonna
the
say let's
engaged
spam it.
life.
Thank you. I was gonna say let's spam it for Auddie, who got married during the off season. Jeez.
It was fun. It was fun. Hey, it's great. Everybody will tell you different stories, but married life is great. Um,
Did Johnny Gaudreau show up at your wedding and was dancing around on someone else's shoulders as well?
I
Or
wish. I wish his invite must have got lost in the mail, similar to his return to Calgary,
yeah,
just
that contract,
non-existent.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that contract must have got lost in the mail. Speaking of marriage, it's great to have a happy marriage. I think I have one of those. I like to consider myself very lucky. I have a lovely wife who cares for me and loves me. The marriage between the Calgary Flames and Matthew Phillips was one that was maybe, one side puts in a little bit more than the other being the Calgary Flames. Matthew Phillips doing everything he can, knocking on the door. And it came out that Craig Conroy actually allegedly offered him a 2-year deal. I believe it was a two-way. I don't know the extent of it, but either way, he doesn't sign. He moves on. He moves on to Washington. We all knew coming into this game. I saw some people talking about the thumbnail. Yeah, I'm responsible for that thumbnail. I'm the one who put Matty Phillips' face all over the SDPN feed tonight because I wanted everybody to see just how much we love and appreciate him. Maybe not so much tonight. We're happy for him, but we're not so happy with the outcome. But I want to get your 2 cents. I know you're a Matty Phillips guy too. A lot of Flames fans were really, really high on this kid. What did you think about him tonight? How did you think Matty Phillips? Obviously, for those of you who didn't watch the game, if you're just watching us, scores his first NHL goal, first NHL multi-point night. He gets an assist on the Sonny Milano. Oh wait, no, sorry, Sonny Milano had an assist on his goal. He had
On
an
Phillips'
assist
goal.
on
Yeah.
the Connor McMichael goal. But what did you think of Matty Phillips?
Well, first of all, I just want to shout out your hat. I wanted to say it. I think it was on the last game over as well, for the representation there. But
Everybody's
also,
welcome here, man.
I'm going to shout out Matty Phillips for representing us short kings there at 570. I think he's listed at 5'8", but I think everything else I've seen is 5'7". So, but yeah, going out there and scoring not only his first NHL goal, but yeah, netting 2 points on the night there. And I think one thing that, unless I'm mixing it up, Mitch Love also went to Washington before Phillips eventually went there. So I think
Hmm.
I do kind of wonder if that was something that was part of the reason
Can I
for Phillips
interject
being
real
able to
quick?
Washington. Yeah, go for it.
Because I interviewed Matthew in the offseason just before he actually went down to
Right, you
Washington.
did. Yeah.
And one of the things we talked about was I can't remember. I think somebody on Twitter actually posed the question for me to ask to him. And it was, hey, obviously Mitch Love went there first. Was there any influence? And, he was like, yeah, I had chats with Mitch and Washington. He wanted to reiterate that Washington was interested regardless of Mitch Love's opinion, which is
Mhm.
fair because it shouldn't be, oh, Mitch Love goes there, so all of a sudden his best scorer last year and the year before is going to follow him and play in the NHL. He still had to earn that spot. He worked his tail off to get to where he is, and he made it very clear Washington was interested prior to the Mitch Love thing. But you got to think, and that's what I asked him. Did that help the case? And obviously, familiarity is a big thing in the NHL.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, he said that it did help. So, shameless plug to listen to my interview with Matty Phillips. But to interject briefly, yes, it did have a slight impact, although Washington was interested from kind of the jump.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like even like going back to the preseason, like Matthew Phillips played more time in the preseason for the Washington Capitals than he did in the prior 3 seasons,
Yeah.
like preseason included for the Calgary Flames. I think that about sums up kind of the mishandling, if you want to be nice about it, of Matthew Phillips by the Calgary Flames here. And uh, I sent out a tweet. Like the first goal of his career being scored against the Flames is one of the, if in my opinion, one of the greatest fu moments in sports, at least in the last 5 years, let's say. Just like it's you hear a lot, and I think it's becoming a little bit less with the game moving to more finesse and skill and speed and that kind of thing. But it was always about the big tough guys, and there's still a little bit of that mentality where some of these guys like Phillips, who are on the shorter end of like
Mm-hmm.
5'7" or that, just aren't really getting their chances, but just purely because of height sometimes, or body weight kind of thing. But those guys can play, and I think Matthew Phillips showed it tonight, right? Like I said, he put up 2 points, clocked just under 13 minutes of ice time. That's not a small number, at least for a guy who played as much as he did in the preseason, even got up to the first line in the
He's playing
preseason.
with Ovi.
Yeah, exactly. Like that right there is okay. There's something that they see in him,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm glad that Washington saw something in him, because, like you said, just so many, if not every Calgary Flames fan who knows about this kid is rooting for him in Washington, right? And I'm sure even a few were given a couple small little fist pumps as he scored that goal tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's a couple things to wrap up the Matty Phillips talk before we get into the Game Over Calgary portion of this show. Because after all, it's not Game Over Washington, but we have to give credit where credit's due to a guy who many of us were advocating for last year to crack a spot in the lineup. If you had bet on a Matty Phillips goal tonight, I know a lot of people did. It's just I remember seeing a tweet from Will Nault that the script writers got this one right for Matthew Phillips, but it was plus 650 on pretty much every sports book that I could see.
Oh.
So it was quite the payout if you put a little bit of change down, put a little more jingle in your jeans, if you will. And secondly, I wanted to shout out a tweet that I saw from Amon Kurji over at the Win column. He said that he's glad that Daryl Sutter isn't with the team anymore, but God, did he ever wish that Daryl Sutter was on the bench when Matthew Phillips scored his first one in his,
Yeah.
third or fourth NHL game. Either way, an unforgettable moment. Just comes from a great family, a great person, a workhorse. You heard Tom Wilson talk about just how good of a player he is. Kind of a who the fuck is this guy moment, though, when he showed up in the locker room. But he won the hearts over of Caps fans and that locker room as well. So congrats to Matty Phillips. And now I guess we got to talk about the dreaded result of this hockey game, which is a Calgary Flames loss in the shootout to the Washington Capitals on this Monday night. Let's start in the first period because for the better part of, I'm going to say it, that the entirety of the period was all Calgary, high octane. I tweeted out, this is some fun hockey to watch. If you're a Flames fan, get excited. Your thoughts on the first period there, Nate?
Yeah, like you said, it was all Flames. I mean, that really just encompasses it. Uh, I had the shots here. I think there was like 18-3 after the first period,
Yeah, I
which
wrote it down too. It was, let's see. It was a swift 17-3 for the Flames.
17-3. Okay,
Yeah.
one off.
Either way,
just
it
like just
was.
like the Flames were tonight, one off.
Yep, they were.
But it was looking good, and even Jacob Markstrom, who he didn't have a shot until like 7 minutes into the game, and it was I think what a 2-on-1 or something like that, like a great
Yeah,
opportunity
it
that he
was
just
a.
shut the door on.
Yeah, it was a 10
Um,
10 beller for the most part.
yeah, just the entire team was rolling, but something, and I know it's only 2 games. Let's calm down here a little bit, kind of deal. But what I've noticed over these past 2 games, at least on this road trip, is that the Flames will come out really hot, and then second period, either like the start of it or the second half, they'll just really start to back off because they're like, "Oh, okay, we got this. We're up by 2," and it's like, no, you can't do that. There's 60 minutes to play. You have to
Yep.
play the full 60 minutes.
How
So I'm
cliche
really
is it, and how many times have we heard ourselves
right.
talking about the Calgary Flames in that regard?
So I know it's 2 games, way too early. Calm the hell down, Nate. But it's just something I'm noticing already that I'm like, they better squander this quickly because we don't want a repeat of last year with it.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. It was an utterly dominant first period, and like I mentioned on Twitter, it was one of the most fun periods of hockey that I got to
Yeah.
watch for the Calgary Flames. And one of the things that I really noticed, especially early on in the first period, is just Matt Coronado. I
Mhm.
know there's a lot of hype around him being the pick that he was picked at, and how good of a junior, or I guess junior collegiate career he had. Um, but I wanted to park a bit of time to talk about him and a similar kind of player that we had here in Calgary. Obviously, the size is one thing, but the way he moves, the way he handles the puck, eerily similar to what we saw with Johnny Gaudreau here in Calgary. Um, the way Matt Coronado enters the zone, I can recall it right now. I'm watching it in my head. The first shift he had this game, he gets off the bench, he gets the puck, he fires it to the far corner, and then he skates like a baby gazelle who just got born, because he's very unorthodox in the way he skates. But I can't chirp because he skates way better than me. But he gets on his horse, he dumps the puck, he beats 2 defenders, and he picks up his own rebound off the boards and gets a shot on goal, creates a quality scoring chance in front of the net. Um, what have you seen from Coronado? Have you liked his play? Am I grasping at straws to compare him 4 games into his NHL career to Johnny Gaudreau? I just see similarities. It's not really a true comparison, but similarities in his game. Just your thoughts on Coronado.
Yeah, no, I've definitely seen the comparisons, but the example that you gave of, the shot off the boards and grabbing that rebound to get a shot, like just his reaction time is something that uh, I guess for some reason it's not something that I feel like we talk a whole lot about with players. It's a lot more of a goaltending conversation,
Mm-hmm.
but his is something that I've been noticing as well. But specifically, I've been really appreciative that he's been given an opportunity, or I guess he's already not given an opportunity. He's earned an opportunity already to work on that power play unit. And personally, I think he's been looking really good there. So
Yeah, no, he's sorry, I know we said we'll wait for the presser, but a funny one from Jay Money saying Auddie trying to give NHLers skating advice. LOL. Yeah, you watch me skate. I'm not a horrible skater, but I'm not NHL caliber, obviously whatsoever. Another standout in the first period, and kind of someone who I thought kind of progressed well throughout this game. Was Adam Ruzicka, who ends up scoring a goal. It was a beautiful zone entry. I believe it was Hannafin who had the puck in the first period, kind of skates, draws 2 defenders behind the net, and it's a quick little backhand pass to Ruzicka, who's sitting on the doorstep, wide open, clear as day. They want that one back for sure, but he wastes no time and snipes one. Ruzicka's looked good, and I think Flames fans should be happy. He's kind of one of those those players who's progressively gotten better at each level he's played at. He got a full season in last year with the Flames, and maybe some depth scoring in this lineup, in a lineup where sometimes you look at it from last year, carry over to this year, and you say, where are the goals going to come from? We talked about it last time I was on Game Over with Brady from Winnipeg. He said the same thing about the Jets. You look at that roster, you compare it to last year, and you say, where are the goals going to come from? He's proving that maybe they're gonna get some help from more than just your Huberdeau, Kadri, Lindholms of the lineup that kind of established top six. Excited to see another full year of Ruzicka?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I loved that guy last year. And as well, like especially in the offseason after we traded Tyler Toffoli, right? Like who led the team in goals last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Or at least was top three. No, he did lead. He did lead.
he did.
So yeah, you trade off your top scorer from last year, and yeah, it does make you question where the goals coming from, especially after the year that Huberdeau had. Who, mind you, yes, he's more of an assists guy, but just the points were not there. Thanks, Daryl Sutter, for tossing him on the wrong side for 50 plus games.
That was bad.
But yeah, no, he's been awesome, and I've loved him in that bottom six, like last year, this year so far, kind of thing. But there's one thing here that I just want to point out. We talked about three guys so far in particular, and yes, one of them was Washington, but the last 3 years was in the Calgary organization, at least someone that we wanted up. What's the one like thread, I guess, that you can think of between the three guys that we've talked about? Coronado,
youth,
Ruzicka, youth. It's a big thing, and
which is great to see.
Yeah, exactly. Like as soon as Conroy came in, and like it's always like the initial things that come out. You might look back on it and go like, oh, that's not quite what happened, or that kind of thing, or well, yeah, like you really pulled through on that one. Yeah, sure. But so far, Conroy has done what he's said, and that is give the young guys an opportunity to show that they belong there. And out of, I guess, the two current Flames, those guys have shown that so far for their respective roles. So Coronado is we're just trying to figure out where exactly, but he does fit in this lineup somewhere, is the main aspect.
Yeah, and it's going to take some time. That kind of stuff doesn't happen overnight.
No.
You kind of hit your stride, and when you find chemistry with the right line, it pays dividends for both your team and yourself. So kind of in that in-between stage right now, but still showing signs of an upward trajectory. I want to park some time to pick your brain about one of the players you mentioned before, and his fall from grace from his previous season of putting up the most points by a left winger assists. Sorry, maybe it was assists. I think it was assists by a left winger in NHL history. 85 assists or something stupid like that. Jonathan Huberdeau. The question I have for you is something that, I and other Flames fans and other people who follow this team and cover this team have noticed, who also have maybe mentioned the same thing. You mentioned, and this is what sparked it for me, is you mentioned he's a pass-first guy. We know that, right? We know obviously putting up 85 assists is no small feat. He likes to pass the puck. Would you like to see him shoot a bit more? I feel like more often than not, I see him in the offensive zone with possession of the puck. Obviously, he looks for the pass first, but then sometimes I notice he just forces a pass, maybe for the sake of, in his head, he's the pass-first guy when he has the shot. You want to see him shoot the puck a little bit more?
Absolutely, because we know this guy can shoot when he wants to. And he's got to get out of that, like just a little bit out of that pass first mentality, right? It's more and I mean, you were teaching, or you're trying to teach Coronado how to skate. I'm going to try to teach Huberdeau how to shoot, apparently. And but just trying to, like, yes, you want to find the best opportunity for your team, kind of thing, but that's not always someone else or you helping someone else. Sometimes it's just taking matters into your own hands, right? And I mean, you want to talk about small sample size so far with this season, guy like Connor Bedard, right? Who a lot of the highlights I'm seeing are,
never heard of that guy before.
Yeah, never. But like a lot of the highlights that you see is just like, yes, Chicago, not a overly great team around him kind of thing. But there's a lot of moments where like you'll see him kind of like do the scan and realize, okay, nope, I got the best option here. And well, that's when he'll shoot kind of thing. And I think
Maybe that's
Huberdeau
what a
just
matter of it is for
so I
Huberdeau.
think just Huberdeau's just I think just got to take a little bit more of a look and just make sure that like if there's a pass, great, go for it. But if there's not, make that opportunity either for the pass or for a shot.
Yeah, I like what you said there. Sometimes you're the best option.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's for him. It's not losing the pass first mentality, but like being quicker on the read. Like is that like quicker on the read?
Yeah, and I'll clarify too. It's not like you're the best option in a selfish way,
No,
right? Like it's for your team to have an opportunity at success on that play. So
yeah, it's definitely not like a chest beating like I am the best option. It's like
yeah, exactly.
It's more so like, oh shit, there's nothing else that I can do right now. I better take this I better take this lane, or I better take this shot if there's a good screen in front, you know. And that's something I want to see more of Huberdeau this year. Again, we're only 3 games into the season. They're learning kind of a new system. They're playing in a new system, which kind of it obviously doesn't take time. These things don't happen overnight. I say that time and time again.
Even with a full training camp, it does take time.
So with that in mind, it's pretty evident the Flames system that they're playing now is significantly different than the one that they played in last year. And one of the things that I noticed tonight especially, and I'm going to spotlight Mackenzie Weegar for a moment, who I noticed a couple times, well, in that first period when they spent a lot of time playing offense. They were more so in Washington's end than they were in the neutral zone or their own end. But when Mackenzie Weegar was on the ice and the Flames had possession in the offensive zone, I found that anytime the puck was swung back to him, it wasn't a forced pass. It wasn't a cycle down low. It was, hey, I'm going to use my feet and keep this play alive by moving myself into a better position, which something that we didn't see too much last year, maybe till the end of the year. I think Zadorov kind of picked it up a little for some reason, but
out of everybody, right?
Yeah, right. A hat trick in the last game of the year. Like who had that on their bingo card?
I was there for that. I can say that I was there for a Nikita Zadorov hat trick.
Not many people can say that. But like, what I'm trying to say is like using his body to create space, using his feet to find a lane, to get the puck into a better area of the ice to get a shot off. What I'm noticing is more mobility from the blue line, which is kind of cool to see because like we saw last year when scoring wasn't really prevalent. I'm going to use a big word for this team last season.
Hold on, where's my dictionary?
Yeah, check to see if I used that correctly. Chat, somebody help me out. But it's going to be nice to see scoring come from the blue line, right? We saw, I believe it was in the first game, 2 goals that the Flames scored came from the blue line. I think it was the first 2 goals of the year for them. Blue line scoring depth is fun. And when you don't have scoring anywhere else or you're struggling to find scoring anywhere else and your blue line can step it up, makes for some good hockey.
Exactly. It's, I don't know, like a team can never have too many offensive threats, right? Like think of any time you've played, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every now and like there'll be someone out on the ice or 2 guys out on the ice that if they have the puck, someone on your team is yelling shooter, right? To know that, okay, that's the guy that's most likely to shoot out of everybody. But if you could have 3, 4, even 5 guys that like not on a power play, that you could have somebody be yelling shooter, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
I'm going to correct you for a second. Usually when I'm on the ice and I have the puck, it's, oh, we should go take this guy out because it's he plays on the blue line and he's playing way too far up and it's a 2-on-1 the other way. So I don't often have that call out when I'm on the ice. I try to hang out in the neutral zone when I play beer league just because like my foot speed's not there, getting up in age, got some grays on the side of my head now. I'm thinning on top. That's why I always wear a hat. But you're right. You're right, and I think it's going to make for some fun Calgary Flames hockey this year if their blue line can, as you mentioned, step it up. Okay, if you're joining us now, Game Over Calgary. I'm Auddie. He's Nate, joining us here on SDPN Sports for Game Over. We're excited to be back with you for another season of Calgary Flames coverage. This is season 2.5 for the Flames because we technically joined late in the first year with Game Over Toronto. So 2.5 it is. We've worked out, if you're just returning from that season, we've worked out the technical issues. You'll be happy to know that I'm not frozen anymore. You can hear me. I think we look okay. But we do thank you for joining us. And if you do have questions, I mentioned before, save them for later. We're going to do the presser around the end of the show. Calgary Flames losing this one in a shootout to the Washington Capitals. Okay, a pretty uneventful second and third period for the Calgary Flames. Just to quickly skim over the third period, I guess they kind of started to look a little bit better. The second, they were a little flat. Third period, they came out a little bit better. Obviously, this game goes into overtime, and then they take a too many men on the ice penalty in overtime, in which they were lucky to get out of. Bad penalty to take in general, even worse to take in overtime when you can only have 3 guys on the ice. Kadri jumped the gun a little bit there and caught himself on a too many men penalty. But as we mentioned, crisis averted. It didn't end up ruining their night in that regard. That would transpire a few minutes later when we get to the shootout. And I saw some uproar on Twitter. I don't know if they were boomers. I don't know if they were just hockey purists or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to shout out who, just because it's I'm not in the business of calling people out, but a former Calgary Flames goalie who didn't actually play for the Calgary Flames, who actually I don't even think played a game in the NHL. But anyways, you're trying to connect the dots.
Yeah, now I'm trying to connect the dots here.
I'll text you after.
That sounds good.
He put out on Twitter that Kuznetsov should be effing embarrassed because of his shootout, his performance in the shootout. I want to get your take.
Is controller dying?
Yeah, I want to get. This isn't the first time we've seen this in the NHL until they implement some sort of clock, which they never will. I don't think that's the state of the shootout. I think if you're trying to fix the shootout, you're doing the wrong thing, because the right thing to do is just take the fucking shootout away.
Yes,
and just play overtime. If you're trying to fix the shootout, something's wrong. You know that the NHL has already failed more miserably than it has if they're trying to make the shootout better, which they won't be able to. But until you implement a clock, which, like I said, they never will, as long as the puck and the player is in a forward progression, who cares how long it takes?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen this. This Kuznetsov's not the first person to have done. Is that old man yelling at cloud, or am I reading into this too much?
No, I think it is. I mean, from a goaltending perspective, yeah, it's a little bit annoying, but at the same time, from a, I guess, offensive standpoint, right? To have the goalie basically be in a loaded position for so long and kind of focused, or that it does work. We saw it tonight. So
yeah.
I don't know. And I don't, if they were to have some rule against it, yeah, I'm with you. I don't think that a clock thing, but maybe it's, they have the forward momentum. Maybe it's that you have to be still continuously skating or something like that. I don't know. But
they like I say, if they're grasping at straws if they're trying to fix this.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's just not fixable.
Yeah, but no, I don't see any issue with the play. So
no.
It's
especially because anybody can do it. It's not just Kuznetsov. Yeah, we could both do it if we knew how to play at that level, and instead of talking about hockey, we were in the NHL. If only it tried a little harder. But seriously, it's a non-issue for me. I saw people up in arms about it, and I'm just really? Of all the things that we're going to get mad about today, this is going to be the thing that the straw that breaks the camel's back, if you will. But aside from that, it's a loss. We move on. It's the third game of the season. All in all, to sum it up, for my summary, I'll spin it to you after, but for me, I'm happy with what we're starting to see. I'm happy with the positive change There's you know, some good things. There's some things that they need to clean up, but all in all, a much different look. The fourth line looks a lot different than it did last year with Trevor Lewis, Milan Lucic when he wasn't playing in the top six, and whoever else they stapled on that line. It was usually a combination of Ruzicka, Dewar, or God, I don't even remember because it was just like in the back of my mind and I'm trying to block it out.
Yeah, I
But
try to forget about it as much as I can.
fourth line looks a little faster. They're spending a lot more time in the offensive zone, just kind of holding on to possession, which is what a fourth line is supposed to do, and it's good. Um, all in all, 3 games in, the Flames are 1-1-1. They've got 3 points, 2 points or 2 games with points, which is good. Can't complain too much so far. What's your read on the first 3 games of the year?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, does 5 periods or 5 goals in the third period against Pittsburgh kind of suck? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. But every other period, there's been something positive to come out of it at least. Like there hasn't been out of the 9.5, I guess if you want to consider the overtime a half period. Out of those, like there hasn't been anything where you're just like that was absolute garbage, nothing redeeming whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, the team looks faster. Just and you're talking about more the fourth line. I'm thinking even throughout the lineup, it just looks a little bit faster. A little more youth in it as well, I think, is
Yeah.
a contributing factor throughout the lineup as well, which is great. And even for tonight's game in particular, I don't take a whole lot of stock in, I guess, the final result when it comes to a shootout because, like you, I'm not a fan of the shootout. I think it's ridiculous that we play 65 minutes of a team-orientated game to bring it to a skills competition.
Yeah.
So if you manage to get it to a shootout, you know what? Look at the rest of the game. If the team still played great, right? Like if you'd extended overtime 5 more minutes and someone was going to come out of it in there, yeah, that's a good game. So
Mm-hmm.
and you're happy about it, I think. So like obviously you want the 2 points, but like you can't like unless you like just luck your way into a shootout, as I saw the Anaheim Ducks do way too many times last year. It's I don't know, call it a good night, I guess.
Yeah, I would say I'm in that ballpark with you. Like I mentioned before, this is Game Over Calgary. I'm Auddie. He's Nate. On the heels of a Calgary Flames shootout loss to the Washington Capitals, 3-2. A reminder: we're gonna swing to the presser pretty soon here. So if you did have questions, please be sure to get them in. Whether it's for me, whether it's for Nate, whether it's about the Flames, whether it's about how handsome Nate looks tonight. Get your questions and comments in, and we'll start going through them very shortly here. One thing I wanted to kind of touch base with you on, and it's not just specific to this game, it's specific to overtime in general. And it's kind of one of those controversial things. You either love it or you hate it. The way 3-on-3 or teams play 3-on-3 now, it's possession, and once you have possession, you just keep possession. And what a lot of people don't like, and I wanted to ask you about this because I was thinking about it when I was watching the game. It doesn't bother me because it's just like you say, you learn how to play in different situations, 3-on-3. Sometimes you got to swing the puck out the blue line, wait for a reset, go back in, swing the puck back out of the blue outside your blue line, wait for a reset, go back in. Now, a lot of people have a problem with that. People suggesting rule changes that you can't exit the zone X amount of times, or a shot clock like lacrosse. Being a player of both sports, you that is. What are your thoughts? Do you think that it's as much of a problem as people make it out to be, or what?
I don't think it is because when 3-on-3 got first introduced, yes, it was a lot of run and gun, and it was fun to watch. But at the same time, you had a lot of teams that played that style initially, that it ended up costing them. And an example I think of is unfortunately Jacob Markstrom when he was in Vancouver there, and like all 3 guys kind of rushed in, and the 2 got caught up, and then the third one got caught up, and it's a 3-on-0, like looking like practice out there basically.
Yeah.
And Markstrom getting scored on there. So teams adapted to it, right, and develop this strategy of, okay, let's maintain possession until we find that opening, and then that's when we take our shot. In a way, similar to a power play, right? All teams did was just change from a 5-on-4 or a 5-on-3, 4-on-3, whatever. They just applied it to 3-on-3 hockey because you have the space to do it. So yeah, I don't see any issue with it. And teams were just all smart in adapting it. And, you know, sorry to anybody who doesn't like it, but when you have smart people actually running the game, you get interesting stuff out of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree, and I think it's very much old man yelling at cloud to be upset about that kind of stuff. It is what it is. I just figured it'd be an interesting topic of conversation because, like, I always think about that when I see that shit on TV. Because I'm like, oh,
funny.
somebody's screaming somewhere on Twitter right now because the, so and so just swung the puck out, waited for a reset, went back in, reset again. Like, you just know somebody is out there complaining about that. So
yeah, and it's like, okay, let's not restrict something that doesn't really have a whole lot of restrictions because we've gone away from that. Because, like you said, a lot of like old man yelling at clouds. How many of those people who are complaining about this watched like the no 2-line passing?
Yeah.
And how restrictive that was on the game.
Right.
So, and
2-line
same
pass
thing.
was just abysmal. What a terrible idea.
It was brutal. But like you open the same thing. You opened that up, right? And teams started going a bit more running gun, but then teams developed strategies on how they can enter and that sort of thing. You just had the same thing apply to overtime.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. As we always wrap these shows up now with the presser, I don't have a cool game over press conference button to play like they do on the SDP. It's just me saying that it's time for the press conference. It's time for the presser. Get your questions in. There's a bunch of good questions already here in the chat. Yeah, the Steve Dangle press conference. I try my best to be voice lady from SDP, but I'm not very good. A few good questions in here so far, but we're gonna wrap it up pretty soon. So get your questions in if you would like to have the opportunity to ask us a question. The first one. Why is Nate so dang handsome? I think I fed them. I led them into that one, but
I had to go to work today.
See, he dressed up. He dressed up.
So,
I just threw on a hoodie and my Pride hat, and I was like, "This is a good fit."
Yeah, I got off at 4:30, and game started at 5. So I basically just got home, tossed on my jersey, got on the couch, and then
got a text from me.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I guess I gotta look presentable.
Otherwise, you'd see me in my usual backwards snapback. That like someone, I kid you not, from the opposite end of the Saddle Dome, a bowl up, like not using like a Zoom on their phone or anything, like recognize me that way. I'm like, okay, a beardless snapback should not be that recognizable.
You're just a very distinguishably handsome man that you could see from anywhere in that godforsaken arena. This one here from Left-Handed Penman. First of all, great to see you, Left-Handed Penman, one of the OGs.
Love seeing his name in the chat.
And one of the people who always comments and always putting their 2 cents in. So thank you for coming back, and it's good to hear from you again. Confidence is low over here. Need to see a few wins. I would say my confidence isn't low right now. I'm more tempered expectations, and I mentioned that on the first Game Over show with Brady when we did our crossover with Winnipeg, that, you know, the best part about coming into this year is just not having expectations. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just kind of going with the flow. Like, did I expect the Flames to win the first 3 games? No. Did I expect them to lose all 3? Also, no. 1-1-1 is quite literally like directly in the middle of how it could have, like, it's so smack dab on the nose as to how I thought this was going to go. So for me, it's a little different. But
I can make this look a lot more pretty and boost that confidence up a little bit. You could be the 0-2 32nd overall Edmonton Oilers who lost to a throwing up in his mask Thatcher Demko.
Yeah, we could be that. We could be that. I don't want to. I'm excited for Heritage Classic because I'm gonna just get Zach so fired up.
Are you wanted to be there, by the way. I haven't asked.
More to come from the Game Over crew.
All right,
I don't know how much I'm allowed to say yet. But
you can see there, I got my jersey ready to go.
I can't. We can't see it on the stream because you're cut off. But I do see it on Zoom.
On Zoom.
But Yeah, actually, more to come. For those of you who are curious about what's going to be happening for the Heritage Classic, stay tuned. We'll be announcing this pretty soon. Over 20.5 games, over under 20 and a half games, which Calgary loses in regulation or overtime when outshooting opponents by 10 plus shots. Already at 125 last year. Wow, Jay Money with the stats from the top rope. I'm taking the under this year.
Yeah, I'm taking the under this year.
I'm
One
nailing
reason,
the under.
no Daryl Sutter.
Yes, that too. Um, let's see here. Oh, it's mostly people just chirping each other back and forth in the chat because there was one. I'm trying to find who. Oh, it was Jay Money who said, or was it Jay Money? I gotta find it because it was actually kind of funny. It was about 3-on-3s. Oh yeah, it was Jay Money. More coaches should pull their goalies in overtime to make it 4-on-3. And then it's just like one mistake the other way and you're hooped, or
Yep.
you just always have possession. You just always have one guy like chilling in the neutral zone that you can swing back to. I don't know. Maybe you could make it work.
All I know is that you're gonna have the goalies hating you if they're skating to the bench, and then when the puck comes the other way, you're trying to go for a shift basically. And
The stipulation should be that
in their gear.
the stipulation should be that whoever the fourth man back is, kind of in the neutral zone that you swing to, he's got to assume the position of goalie. Like he's just got to go. Yep. Maybe he comes out with the backup goalie's mask on, so that he can actually
just put the cage or the bubble on him.
Yeah, just throw the cage or the bubble or whatever, and make it look like he can actually go in net. They'll be putting like someone will sign Zdeno Chara tomorrow just for the opportunity to have him play that spot there. So
I think I'd rather have Bufflin in that position, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, big buff. Big buff. Yeah, he was a big dude. Well, that'll do it for the presser. Good show. Great to see everybody. I'm happy to be back. I know I know it's been a long time coming. We got a lot of fun things lined up for you on Game Over this year. Hopefully the Calgary Flames make it a little bit better than it was last year. More people can watch the show. More people can have fun in the chat, opposed to the nonsense and tomfoolery that it was last season. So praying
a bit
for
more fun, a bit less therapy.
That's right. Praying for more fun and less therapy. But if you do need therapy, come on over to Game Over Calgary and we can all hash it out together. We could talk about it like we did all year last year. Okay, Nate, thank you so much. Tell the people where they can find you and what you're up to.
You can find me on Twitter. I refuse to refer to it as X. At Tatenamas, TATENHOMAS. Just flip the N and the T of my first and last name around, and there you go. Yeah, you can find me on there. That's where I'm most active, I guess. So yeah, you can follow me there for hockey takes, music stuff, and the occasional jersey concepts. So once I'm done school, I'm hoping to be getting back to some more design stuff. So
yeah, there you go. Yeah, we love to see he's got some great jersey concepts. So go follow him on Twitter to see all of that. You could follow me at Auddie James. Be sure to follow at SDPN Sports on Twitter. I think we're on just about every social media you could find at SDPN Sports. Like the stream. I'm not sure if Toronto is still live, but if they are, go watch them after this. Hey, Avery's here. Game over Edmonton. I just teased Avery. Avery, I just gave eyes emoji about Heritage Classic stuff, just to keep your eyes peeled for that. I didn't spoil anything because I don't know if we're allowed to announce it yet. But either way, be prepared for some fun stuff for the Heritage Classic between Game Over Calgary, Game Over Edmonton here on SDPN Sports. My name is Auddie James. This was a Calgary Flames 3-2 shootout loss at the hands of Matthew Phillips and the Washington Capitals. Stay safe. Oh, I forgot to mention our next Game Over show as I pull up the schedule is going to be on Thursday, the 19th, against the Buffalo Sabres. Peter Klein will have your show. Until then, stay safe. It was good to see you, and we'll talk to you guys on the next Game Over show here.